Good people, I hope you are well and winning. It's your host with the most. Yes, I said it with my chest. Godfrey. Welcome to Love on a Podcast. Welcome to Lox on this podcast.
Oh yeah,
You see what I did there? I'm super excited to have my brother.
Stop, yeah.
This is a top tier gent, and I mean that. Met on the socials, on the interwebs, and I was like, yo, bro, let's do life together. And I want to count it an honor that he has joined us today to talk about changing the narrative.
Yeah.
Right? Changing the narrative as men, for men, in a society that doesn't particularly like us. If I can just say. But yeah, that's what we want to get into, just conversations on that, on how we can go about it, what we can learn from it. Because yeah, we learn through conversation, right?
That's dope.
So I've told you his name.
Yes.
But I definitely may get some things wrong as I introduce him. But yes, he's a young man who loves God.
Yes.
Sir?
Oh man. First of all, that's a dope intro. I need to think about my intros now. But anyway, yo, what's up everybody? My name is Lox. First of all, thank you so much for having me, Godfrey. It's actually an honor for me to be here because you are also doing the most.
No,
you get what I'm saying? So now
glory to God.
when there's two people doing the most, just imagine. So I'm glad that Godfrey and I actually got to meet up. And I'm pretty sure that even after this, there'll be some pretty cool stuff that we'll get done together. So that's amazing. Yes, that's amazing. So yeah, that's why we got everything right. Nothing wrong. I love the Lord. Yes, my name is Lox, and yeah, man, I receive all those blessings.
Come on, amen to that. I'll also put links in the description.
That's dope.
But yeah, definitely if you want to connect with this young man who's doing the whack of the Lord.
Let's connect, guys.
Guy's got a YouTube channel or channels, if I can say. Instagram accounts, if I can say. So man, dude, let's do the works. So as I said, good people, we're talking about changing the narrative, right? So Love on a Podcast, we talk about anything and everything to do with love. Love between two persons, love between a person and something they love doing. But we want to double click on love as its impact can be affected by men, right? Changing the narrative for men. So I wanna get your first impressions of the topic, because I did say, bro, let's have a chat, let's have a conversation that is recorded, and talk about changing the narrative as men. So what's your first impression on that now?
First impressions is that look, as men, I think we have a lot of influence on how people love other men and women themselves as well.
Go there.
We have a lot of influence on how people love, as much as we don't talk about it. But as men, we look at each other and we say, how is my brother here doing it? And if I see that it's working for you, I want to mimic that. I want to emulate that in my own life. But at the same time, we have women in our life as well. You know what I'm saying? Now, we also need to now balance that with the people that we actually have to project the love to. And figure out whether is it the way they receive love, they want to be loved. And but just my first impression is that we have a big responsibility. You
see why I was excited to have this man come on, because he's just like, you know when you just open the door for someone, just like have one foot, he just like came in and it's like, no, I mean you've already said a few things that have actually touched on several facets of the conversation that just had in mind. Like as you said, how you project or give love or express love from a male point of view in general to anyone, but also how you receive it, right? And that of course touches on love languages. Right? Is that kind of thing? Can we change the narrative in terms of love languages? Which is also something just so trippy. When you think of what we've experienced growing up. Right? There is what you think love looks like as you receive it from your parents, if they were there. If I can just say, if they were there, if they were present, if they were active in your life, right? There's that to consider. But also how you give it from that purview again, where what you've experienced. And so I think there's a big effort that needs to go into raising awareness as we try to change the narrative.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah, facts. I think a lot of understanding has to be affected as well. Knowing our differences and embracing them.
Yes. No, definitely. In fact, when you're speaking about the whole traditional thing, I mean, let me ask you this: when did you find out about what love languages are, if you can remember?
I think it was 2017.
You see, that was yesterday, bro.
If I'm not mistaken, I think 2017 was the first time I heard about love languages. When I was 24 years old.
You see, that you're in your 20s and you're figuring out what love languages are only then. I mean, for example, I'm still trying to figure out what my love languages are because I've never really had the chance to really think about those kind of things because I thought love is like this.
And linear.
You get what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So I'm still trying, I myself am still trying to figure out what my love languages are, like to really be sure. I know what I like. I like food, but apparently that's not a love language. Do you get what I'm saying?
I must say though, love must and can and should be expressed through food.
Guys, it has to be, guys. It's like whoever's in charge of love languages and listing these things, please add food.
Gary Chapman.
Is it Gary Chapman who pitched this thing?
Yeah, because he wrote a book apparently.
Oh yeah.
I think it's Gary Chapman. If it's not the surname that I'm getting right. No, if it's not the first name I'm getting right, then it's the surname.
But
it's Chapman.
Gary Chapman or whoever Chapman or Gary whatever, ne? Listen here, sir. Just add food. Add food. Write another book and add food as a love language. It's important.
No, think about it. Like even just food that's prepared with some TLC, bro. I mean, okay, wait. On that note of food, right?
Yeah.
If we're changing the narrative again, from what we've grown up and experienced, right? There's the aspect of changing the narrative in terms of roles.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Right. So
yes,
we know that growing up, mom was always at home, dad was always at work. And I mean, I'm generalizing.
Yes,
right,
yes.
Of course. But yeah, mom was always at home, and you can always look forward to mom's cooked food when you come back from school. Dad is coming back from work, and then you're being asked about homework and stuff. But if narratives were to be changed, what does it look like to have an entire house husband?
So now this goes back to the whole thing about tradition, right? Like the fact that we only learned about love languages like just now, it means that there's a lot of other things that we haven't explored really, And again, if we look at Africa as a whole, majority of men, in fact, almost all men have grown up in a traditional home of some sort. Whether you're white, Afrikaans, whatever, there's traditions that you live by. And now those traditions are definitely going to play a role as to how things must be. And your parents tell you, this is how it must be done. This is what must be done. Your uncles are telling you this. Your sisters are telling you this. Your brothers are telling you this. So now, when it comes to you actually figuring out whether can we switch these things or not, it becomes a challenge. So now, again, now, like you see in South Africa mainly, a lot of men are starting to be blessed by women. You know what I'm saying? Like women are spoiling men, and now other men are looking at them and saying,
their system malfunction.
You're not a real man. At the time, they're just jealous. And they're like, you're not a real man.
Go there.
I'm not saying that. I'm being blessed or anything. Or I'm not saying that that's the lifestyle you should go for. I mean, you go for what you want. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that make people happy. And sometimes the things that make people happy after they discover that those things make them happy usually go the other direction of what tradition usually says. So that's something that as men, I think we should have a proper men's conference and sit down and say, guys, 2021, let's revise the rules and see what, like just for us. No, let's do it for us, for as men, right? What will make us happy? Because I know that there are men out there who want to be babied as well. But there are other men who are frowning upon that behavior.
Double click on that!
Do you get what I'm saying?
So another narrative, right, which we can then literally just kick out of the door there, is how provision, right? There's a chat about provision. And I'm gonna, guys, we're not even, we're still getting started. Like, there's a conversation on provision, there's conversation on expression of affection, there's conversation of profiling, right? So just quickly then, so on the provision part, a man must provide A, B, C, D.
Yes.
What they're really saying is a man must provide financially. I move that you can provide many other things, safety, affirmation, support, etc. But that's another chat. As I said, also the expression of affection we spoke about, or rather we can then talk about how from man to man I should be at liberty to tell you, bro, I love you.
Exactly.
Right? I care about you.
Without having to add no homo. What is that?
Can we change that narrative? Please.
Guys.
I mean, Jesus spent 3 years, 24/7.
Oh,
with
12 men. Yeah, like for real. And he expressed how much he loved them.
Exactly. So that expression of affection, right? And then lastly, as I said, so what did I say? There's the change the narrative and provision.
Yes.
Expression of affection. Oh, and then profiling.
Yes.
So the profiling aspect, if we can change narratives on that light, I want to talk about, the hashtag, right? Men are trash, or at least any sort of collective force that seems to be reshaping the profile of men or men's place in society, in family, right? So that's kind of where we're going with this conversation, where can we change the narrative in that light? So I hope that also just gives you a bit of structure, bro. Just to think of what that means for us. So if we can start then with that, let's start with the expression of affection, or rather continue with the expression of affection. For men. For men,
other men or in general?
In general, yeah.
Yo, okay. So the expression of affection. Like again, it will always go down to what we saw, right? And sometimes I'm not a psychologist. I have psychologist friends, and we have had these conversations, these healthy conversations. And one thing that we did learn from having these conversations was that as a young person, you don't only learn from the things that you're told to do. Like someone can tell you this is how you do things, but exactly, that's the biggest way young people learn is actually seeing what you do, and then you're gonna see this is what I told my child to do, but they're doing the opposite thing, but they saw you doing that. And I think a lot of expression of affection comes from those kind of realms, and we need to really. There always has to come a point where when you start to mature as a person and you start to figure out who you are, you need to start asking those tough questions as to the way that my parents did things, the way that my uncles, my sisters, my brothers, everyone, the people that were in my life, the way they did things, did that work for me? Did it make me happy? Is that how I want to see other people being treated? Is that how I want to be treated? Is that how I want to treat other people? And to be honest, there's always, in every single person, unless there's a specific mental health condition that you have, but in every person there is good. You want to see something good happen for the person that you care about. The Bible says it, that even the wicked know how to give good gifts.
So the man has brought the scripture into the chat.
But if you know what makes you happy and how to make other people happy, you need to ask yourself whether is this frowned upon by society, and do I care? Am I still gonna go for what I love? And do I care? Do I care? But and I want to talk about the do I care part, because as a Christian man, there's a lot of things that the Bible says about this idea of just doing whatever you want to do. And if we look at it away from what the Bible says and just how it affects you as a person, there are also a lot of what's the word that I'm looking for? A lot of implications of just doing whatever you want to do. So I'll pause it there.
No, I'm here for it. I think, bro, if I can be vulnerable in to some regard, like I can attest to what you experience of impacting the man you become, or the man you are. I know even just facets of like a sense of longing Right? There's certain things you want to hear, right? There's certain things you want to see materialize in your family, right? And if there's a deficiency or absence in that light, it certainly affects your relationships moving forward. And I can literally confidently say with my chest that past relationships were affected.
Yes,
right?
yes, definitely.
I had an identity crisis, bro. Like,
yes.
It was a mess.
I think as men, we need to talk like this is a serious topic, guys. I think a lot of men have a like big identity crises, but continue. Crises.
Yes. So things like that. I think even in that light as well, we definitely need to be real about it. Where if we are going to change the narrative, firstly it starts with admitting that you have an issue.
Yes, you see, we always want to point out the issues as a collective, but we struggle to point out the issues that are inside. Do you get what I'm saying? And a lot of the times we justify the issues that we have inside we blame it on the societal problems. I'm like this because this is how society is, and if we don't start with inside and society will never change.
And I know, firstly, at a human level, it's difficult to admit that. Like, I've had instances where I blatantly said to myself, Godfrey, that was trashy.
Oh yeah?
Like,
you've been that guy before?
I've been that guy before. Yeah. Like, where you if you're really serious about growth, you have to come to those kind of places where it's like, bro.
And I'm glad you experienced that because that makes you a better person as well. Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, you cannot solve a problem that you won't admit is there.
Exactly.
Right? So if we're trying to change the narrative, which I would presume, in fact, and present and say, the narrative is bad, and so that's why we're trying to change it.
Yes, there's a problem.
Or that the narrative is not good enough, so we want to improve it. Do you get what I mean? So even when we're thinking about this topic, there's also that to consider in terms of changing narrative, that this hasn't worked. What can work? This isn't working. What should be effective for something to work?
Okay, so we're there now. This is working. Okay, so you know what I feel like we need to understand as men and as people in general is that human beings have been on this earth for quite a while, and the Bible says nothing is new under the sun, meaning that I have to. And this means that there's a lot of things that we are seeing now that they were tried and tested way back then, and maybe they worked for that time. But with everything changing so quickly, whether it's from technology to the fact that just human beings think differently now, we know more, and therefore life has changed because of this access to knowledge as well. And having more knowledge, you live less like a slave. And I want to put inverted commas because the slave to chat is a whole nother thing. But mentally, we think we're free. So let's just use that. We are more free thinking in how we live, meaning that some of the things and processes and traditions that were practiced back then won't necessarily work now. And yes, we love tradition. And the thing about tradition is that someone started it. Why can't you start one that will work for you and the people around you? Yeah, I'll stop there.
No, shame. I'm glad you stopped there because I was about like, I'm getting ready to. Let's continue that thought when we come back from the commercials.
Yeah. All right, cool.
I don't even know if I'm actually gonna have commercials, but
well, yeah.
But it'll be so cool to add that. So, tradition. Tradition. Do you know, guys? Can I just say, side note? I'm a firm believer of divine appointment.
Yes.
Right. This person's supposed to be in my life.
Oh wow! I appreciate that.
For real. Like, I'm so glad that there's agreement on some of these things. That's just what I've been thinking about. Like when you talk about tradition, as you said, was started by someone.
Yeah.
Which means it can be stopped.
Yeah. Yes.
It can be changed.
Yes, it can.
And it can be perpetuated. Right. And if it's a tradition, a lot of the times traditions are continued through interaction, through socialization, to some degree, even indoctrination.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm very much keen to start new traditions.
Yes.
As much as it will probably disrupt and disturb a lot.
It will definitely disrupt, especially the people who were there before you. They know that it worked for them, but we don't live in the same. Oh well, we don't have the same experience of things anymore, especially because. Look at we live in the same South Africa with young people, we live in the same South Africa with older people, but all three of us are having different experiences, completely different experiences, and therefore what the younger generation does and what we do in this same temporal what's the word, did you watch Tenet?
No.
There's a temporal something. it means this exact moment.
Yeah.
So yes, you correct me in the comments. Yeah. So in this moment in time, if we could stop time right now and address what we're all going through at the moment, it's different, and mainly because of where we are in life, the stages that we are in life, and therefore it means that the things that you have practiced, you Godfrey, as the person that you are, your age right now, is going to be different to the person who is still about to finish matric, going into first year. And that's where I want to bring the chat of, the free thinking and doing what you want. And when I say that, also I say that with caution, because at the same time I'm Christian. There are principles that I live by, right? You can do whatever you want, right? But not everything is good for you. Okay.
Romans 10.
Thank you.
Romans 6.
Yes.
2 separate entire passages of scripture that say the same thing and reiterate that message.
Exactly. Paul said this. You can do whatever you want. I'm free to do whatever I want, but not everything is good for you. And I think it's important that we try to discover what it is makes us happy, and the actions that I'm going to sow into my happiness. Are these things good for me? Because if we're being honest, speaking from a point of view of celibacy, now I'm bringing another topic, right?
Yeah.
What would make me happy is to go and watch pornography, right? Because it will fulfill a certain urge in me. But I can't do that because it's not good for me. There's implications that has, right? And I guess we'll get into that topic whenever.
Yeah.
But I can do that if I wanted to, but I can't do that because it's not good for me. But it makes me happy because of what it does for me in my hormones.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we need to identify those things, that yes, there are things that we want to do and things that will make us happy, but at the same time we need to address the fact that not everything that we do is good for us, and sometimes the ones that we know aren't good for us are the ones that makes us the most happiest. You know what I'm saying? And it may be anything. Yeah. So
I think what you've just spoken about highlights the facet that even as we're trying to change the narrative, I think we definitely need to consider how we change the narrative. 2, we also need to consider why we're trying to change the narrative.
Yes.
As I said, hopefully it's positive that, hey, this is not working, this is bad, let's change it. I think that's a positive reason to change the narrative.
Yes.
If it's in the light of, and I'm going to bring a radical example, but if you talk about gender-based violence.
Yes. Let's talk about
narrative
it.
Definitely has to change.
It has to. It's bad. It's not working for anyone. And there's no one benefiting from it at all.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying. Then if we talk about the how, right?
Yes.
I think there we can then get into that the profiling aspect of changing the narrative, right? Because we spoke about the men are viewed in a certain way.
Yes.
In certain spaces and for good reason.
Yes.
In differing contexts, right? There was the hashtag that made the rounds on Twitter, black Twitter, white Twitter.
Yeah. Every Twitter.
Colored.
Every single one.
Right? That men are trash.
Yeah.
That's a narrative that is shared by differing types of women. For differing reasons. And I think what we should do, if we're trying to change the narrative, firstly, sir, I don't think we have the right to police how women respond to what we do.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Right? I'll give it an example that's wild, but it's still linked. You will see, remember when Fees Must Fall started, right? The government was trying to police how students reacted to their trashy policies. All universities were trying to govern how students reacted to their trashy formalities and all of that. It's like, but how do you expect me to react when we have a systematic way of ABCD?
Yeah,
right.
True.
So women are also saying, how can we embrace manhood or men when ABCD?
They are making it very hard to be embraced.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think, in that light, method is important. Yeah.
That's
we're trying to change the narrative, and if we can communicate that to women that, hey, we're trying to do better, right?
Are we?
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How that is received as well as something to be aware of.
Because you as an individual, you are trying your best to be the best man you can be in someone's life. But as a collective, we are very regressive. But yes, just should I answer?
Please.
With the whole men are trash thing, the important thing about understanding a certain movement or a hashtag, for lack of a better word, is to understand why it's there, what it's meant to achieve, what's the message that they're trying to communicate. And I think what a lot of men did was, I don't like those words in that order, so therefore I'm gonna fight it, without actually trying to understand what the intention of this was. It was meant to get our attention, but behind it getting our attention, there was a message that they were trying to communicate.
We're fed up.
Yes.
We're tired.
So a lot of men, gave the attention. It caught a lot of attention from a lot of men, but a lot of men didn't go beyond trying to understand why. So with conversations that I've had with women on this men are trash thing, we spoke about it, and I think it's always nice, and it feels really good to be able to sit down with the women in your life and actually have a loving conversation about how men are, even the men that are in their lives, because it's hard to express the fact that you don't understand men are trash to women who don't know you. Go on Twitter and try and question men are trash.
It's trash that you don't know why you're trash.
Do you get what I'm saying? You won't receive any love. You won't get a loving response from, So when you, men watching this, have conversations with the women that are in your life who understand you, because there are men who flopped on social media, and the women in their lives try to help them and say, no, but he's a good guy, and that made things worse. So guys, just have conversations with the women in your lives about why you don't understand something, and how do they understand it, how does this affect them, do they also share the same sentiments as what other people are sharing, because it's not all women that share the same sentiments with the men are trash movement in terms of how it manifested in different ways, because it manifested in very different ways. Some women used it as part of a feminist movement, and some used it as part of like a power, venting and a power thingy, so there was a lot of stuff, man, and I think it really got diluted, the same way as how I know a lot of females who started off feminist, and because of how feminism is just being diluted into different forms, and they just like, it's fine. Keep your feminism. It's fine. I will just stand by my own values. It's okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's also the problem with society, is that we don't actually discuss certain things, and we assume we don't talk. And you said something very important about talking. That actually talking about things will actually make things better, but we actually don't. On social media, what we're doing is not talking. We are fighting each other.
We're not conversing.
We're
not interacting each other. We're not engaging.
We think we are, but we're not. People are throwing their opinions, but that
Twitter fingers.
You say people are not necessarily listening to understand, and there are people who are trying to, but most people are listening to fight back. Like you have
to weaponize things.
Exactly. So I think conversation is the biggest key here, and I think the conversation should start with the people who are in direct influence of your love. Yeah.
Sure. If you didn't know, you should know that we take L's on this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We take L's, and that means we learn. Right? And as you learn, sometimes you lose something. You lose negative thought processes. You lose your ego, your pride. You unlearn, right? So, as we're trying to change this narrative, what can we learn from the process? What do we need to get rid of?
Okay.
Yeah. Because we take L's.
Okay, so the L's is that we have to lose certain things. Okay. So with what you said, like previously, immediately before this, is that people respond to an affected group of people, policing their reactions. And I think one of the things that we need to, understand or lose, is that there's always a way that we have to deal with certain things. And as much as with every movement, there's always adverse effects. With every good thing, there's someone who's going to be affected negatively by it. And with the Fees Must Fall movement, there were people who were affected by it through the vandalism and stuff. But we can't say those things, because if we say those things, it sounds like we are going against the Fees Must Fall. The same thing that goes with some feminist movements. If we try and pinpoint some bad things about these movements, even though they understand that you have a point, it's regressive because they feel like you are here just to argue with us. We know that guys, these are adults. They know exactly where certain things are going off. And I think that the responsible women who know that this is happening, the responsible youth that knows that this is happening, should speak within themselves. As women, you guys need to also call yourselves out, né? And I say this in the most gentle, loving way, né? That y'all need to speak to each other as well, to find a good way to also communicate certain things. And I'm not talking about men are trash at all. I'm just talking about in general. Yes. So we need to lose that thing of this. I don't want to say this activist spirit. I don't want to say that, because that's the wrong word. But this thing of everything needs to be aggressive and violent. That's what I want to say. We can't have a conversation if everything is going to always be aggressive and violent. And that's
well said. I think, as you said, we take L's, right? So if you're losing something out, the hope is that you also learn. Right? So if you lose this overzealous, wild approach to engaging matters, perhaps you can learn how to separate matters. You can learn how to be more tactful. Yeah,
because just to add to that, is when I see that kind of energy, cool, great, be zealous about the things that are happening in your life, and we support that. But I'm afraid to want to ask and find out more about the situation, because the energy that you're giving off is that if I ask, you're gonna call it ignorance. And the only way to get rid of my ignorance is to ask. But when I ask, I'm called ignorant. So it creates fear.
Yeah.
We want to ask. We want to know more. We want to understand. But the energy given is like, hey, it's fine. Let them do what they want.
Do you know what's crazy? I literally had a real life experience of that.
Yes.
The first time I came across Men Are Trash, social setting, the gents were in one place, in the bride area, the ladies were indoors, but the kitchen area. Right, and the hashtag was right in front of us.
So
right?
You saw this thing drop live.
Literally, it was so real, right? And I was like, gents, check this out. And immediately I saw those two facets, that two-pronged approach to the whole thing, where revolt, right? But me, I'm not trash.
Yeah.
To wait, why are they saying we're trash? Literally, I saw it in real time.
Yeah.
Right, and I think then that creates a perfect segue into the opportunities, right? Because then if we learn something, we've learned that we've been called trash. There's an opportunity, right, for us to respond.
I like that a lot. The fact that you calling it an opportunity to understand something that is wrong.
Yeah.
Whereas other people see it as an attack. And once we change that perspective as like you're saying something very key, and I think it's very tough to change the fact that when you see something you don't like, you don't want to see it as an opportunity to understand that there might be something wrong. You see it as an attack. Continue. Sorry.
It is one. No, I mean it really is this hope, right? Especially from what we saw Jesus Christ do.
Yeah.
He presented a standard for us, and there's an opportunity as well for us. If we're going to change the narrative, there's an opportunity for us to do it lovingly, right, assertively, as well as by grace.
Exactly.
I think we're going to need grace. I mean, why I say we need grace? If we're looking at us as being young men, going to our dads or our uncles and saying, "Sir, that is actually wrong." When this man has been perpetuating this for the past 40 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need grace. We definitely need grace.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. Yeah.
And with grace, I think we can see victory over fear, as you said. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's scary to be trying to do this kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you speak more on that? The victory over fear, like shucks. Yeah, I think I've got guts, and I'm going to try to take on this tradition that has been standing for 200 years. Yo, this is scary.
It's scary. It is, but at the same time, because okay, so I'm Christian, you're Christian. We understand that as we are guided. You have to make sure that you're not doing this thing out of place. The Holy Spirit talks to you and says, "Now is the time to address this." Some point Moses had to go and address Pharaoh. You get what I'm saying? Esther was married to King. What's his name? Yeah, we'll have to pause and check, ne? Esther was married to King someone.
Okay, wait. Esther's husband.
Yes, Esther's husband.
Right. Esther's husband. In the Bible. It was Ahasuerus. Oh, Hadassah, no?
No, man. King something. He was a king.
Xerxes.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, thank you.
Google was giving me a lot of results here.
Yeah, so thank you. We managed to get the name. King Xerxes. Yes, Xerxes, King Xerxes. Now, she's married to King Xerxes. She is in the right place to go and ask Xerxes or give a petition to Xerxes about something. Now, she was going through a situation that the Israelites were about to be killed the next day, right? And now the law says that you can't approach the king without permission, right? That's what the law says. Otherwise, you would be killed. But because she was led, she was able to.
She had the grace.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to say. She had the grace. So now, with us, we need to also make sure that we do it led and have the grace. Some things God didn't approve, and you go when it's not supposed to happen.
There's no visa.
You get what I'm saying?
But you want to enter.
Yeah. So
you want to partake.
and when it is the right time, you'll also feel that the fear is also gone. The situation presents itself, and that's just God setting up the things for you to do it. There's no fear when God allows something. Sometimes there is, because insecurities come into play, but you'll feel like, okay, I don't think I'll die.
But did you die?
Did you die? See, so yeah.
Alright, so man, you have to be graced to do this. There's no way that you can think you're Chuck Norris or a ninja who walks into you have to be graced. I know for a fact. I have very peculiar sentiments towards sort of particular marriage traditions and practices. Right? So if I want to influence any change in that light, I can't just do it anyhow. I can't. I can't.
Yes.
Right. As passionate as I can be about it. Like if it's things about Lobola, if it's things about communicating or relaying messages to certain family members, you got to consider hierarchies and order of significance, importance, all of that stuff, right? You can't just, right? So I know that I'm definitely going to need to be guided in that light. If I walk into certain spaces where men who are renowned and prolific in their certain fields, I can't just walk in and like, right, because I've learned about this in psychology 102, now we must no. There's a way that we do things here. So there has to be victory over fear because it is scary.
It is.
That courage that needs to be.
But at the same time, all the parties have a responsibility to create a space that isn't fearful also. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's why I hope there are ladies watching this that they maybe allow men to, show their what do you call it? Uncertainty of certain issues that are very close to the heart. And this is also with relationships as well. There's certain things, I'm gonna make up an example, right? For example, let's say the girl that you are in a relationship with went through sexual abuse when she was young, and the girl doesn't want to talk about this thing. She just doesn't want to go there. And as a guy, you come across this, it becomes very tough as to when can we talk about this, because this actually does affect the way you love me in the relationship. And someone's past and past traumas will always play a role in something that you're doing, whether you are watching a movie, whether you went out for lunch, it will always present itself in a situation. And you as a guy, you want to like really move, right? But you're also scared that she doesn't want to go back there. And I think that as the female, obviously once she's ready, at least let him know that I'm getting ready to talk about certain things. Present it to him and make him feel comfortable enough to actually now hash out those questions and those things that he wanted to find out. And maybe it might end up helping the both of you guys. So yes, we have a responsibility. Yes.
Yeah, so in that case, I see that we need to exercise tact. Right?
Yes.
If we get into the E of the love segment.
Oh yes.
Right, we gotta exercise tact. You gotta exercise wisdom. Very important.
I'll tell you, you guys, y'all are sleeping on wisdom. I'm gonna tell you now, wisdom. Wisdom is amazing because, unlike knowledge, knowledge is you picking up certain things, and I don't want to say understanding because understanding is a separate thing on its own. But knowledge is just you picking up certain things from experiences, from lessons and stuff. But wisdom allows you to synthesize between situations you haven't been through, because wisdom is not your own. That's from God. You get what I'm saying? So wisdom is very important. You're gonna come across a situation you're seeing for the first time, you're gonna be confused and you don't know what to do. But wisdom plays a role, and we need to exercise that because we've all been given it. When you're anointed for something, though, it comes with wisdom as well. Yeah.
Oh, I like how if you probably could have dropped the mic if we were standing.
This is an expensive mic, though.
That's why the operative word there was probably.
Probably, yes.
No, that is so gold, especially when you spoke about you're experiencing something that you've never experienced, right?
Yeah.
Definitely wisdom has to be a thing.
Yes.
In fact, it will be a thing more so because with changing narratives, a lot of the times we are getting into unfamiliar territory where you've never seen faithful men in your life. And you know that narrative needs to change. Now you're gonna be seeing faithful men in your life, like Lord, I need wisdom to get this. Right? I know with cycles that are broken in families, right, where you've never seen any of the men in your life getting married, for example, right?
So now you stuck with this idea that men are this way. man. I mean, there's so many girls, and on a serious note, now I know some are joking when they really express how disappointed they are with South African men, on a sense that like we are really undateable. That's what they believe. And as much as some joke about it, I really see that some are actually really so disappointed that there is no dateable man around me in South Africa.
That's a narrative that can be changed.
Exactly.
But we need to be willing. Right, so I think that's another thing. Exercise willingness. I've said this about. So, like for me, if I can share as well, that when I look at considerations of like marriage fitness or the compatibility with the partner and stuff, right? Like something that's very important to me is if you're teachable, right, and if you're willing.
Yes.
Right. So the thing about willingness. There's a thing about knowing what I know about relating to a person, even if it's a friendship, not even romance only. As a friend, you gotta be willing to support me. You gotta be willing to be present. You gotta be willing to understand and just listen and hear me out and all of these things. And I also need to do that. So willingness is integral. And so we're gonna be thinking about this whole narrative change. Willingness is absolutely pivotal.
That is so true, and I don't want to get too deep on the willingness thing, but I want people to picture willingness as a door, right? Once you open the door of willingness, you open yourself to so many opportunities, so many new things, so many different ways of doing things and understanding things, because your mind is on its own. Your mind has doors, right? And you shut it to what you don't want to understand or what you don't want to engage with. And with certain opinions, and we see so many opinions on the internet, so many opinions. And the ones that you allow are the ones that are going to change you. So we need to be willing to open the doors that are not comfortable, open the doors that we don't always want to go to. But once you do, you don't have to conform to them, but you'll have a better understanding.
Sure.
Yes.
Come on, somebody.
Yes.
I'm here for it, man. As you said, like, I just want to then just sort of now round it off. Again, I think just rewinding on wisdom, right? I've been reminded of this facet of wisdom that surprised me. That it's okay to quit, right? Knowing that in your wisdom, this path is not what I should continue on.
I like that you brought that up.
Right?
Yes.
Or sometimes wisdom exercises itself in changing your mind. Like, again, in my wisdom, I now know that I should not continue trying to change this narrative in this way.
Yes.
Or that I shouldn't be changing this narrative at all.
I thank you. I'm glad that you brought that, because I don't want people to leave here thinking that you're free to just do whatever you want to do. And we must force things to change. And because with wisdom, there isn't failure. Wisdom allows you to experience things without failing. And things don't turn out the way you want them to. According to wisdom, that's not failure. You've learned something. It's a lesson. You're better for something new. Wisdom, you started a business and you used your wisdom to pull out of that business. That's not failure. That's not failure. You've applied wisdom into making yourself better for something else. In fact, maybe that wasn't even for you. God wanted you to learn something so you can apply it somewhere else. Character development. You get what I'm saying? And I like the fact that, you guys, it's not everything that needs to be fought. Some things are there for your own good protection, whatever it may be. And I'm not talking about anything in specific. I'm just talking in general, right? Some things aren't meant to be fought or changed in your life specifically, and some things are. And it's important that we apply wisdom in the right places, everywhere, to be quite frank, so that we understand what it is that, I mean, yes, maybe there are a lot of things that we can change, but also it's not that this one must change today. Do you get what I'm saying? You must, this is where you must start, and then that one will get there.
Like we need 3 days of conversation, because I'm just like not getting. But you know what? Okay, so let's do this.
Yeah.
Right. Shucks. Because you just mentioned the thing about that it's not going to happen today, and let's end on that note. I know we might. It might be very exciting to have a part 2. Hint.
Yeah, you guys will say if you want a part 2 in the comments. You must say. You know what I'm saying? Just say if you want a part 2. It's fine.
No, but I also definitely, I think it's for us. It's important for us to in our exercising, right? To be real. to come to real terms with the fact that these things will take time. If you're changing a narrative, especially if it's a generational narrative.
Oh, guys, continue.
Right, it's gonna take time. And in my very limited wisdom, once upon a time, I thought I was a hero, right? And I challenged my dad over a narrative in our household. It ended in premium Gucci tears. Right? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so seeing from that last event to today, there's years have spanned by, right?
Yeah.
But I'm starting to see a few changes in that narrative. By God's grace, thanks to patience.
Yes.
And good fortune, if I can even put it like that. But it definitely wasn't going to happen in that moment, even when I wanted it to. Again, it's a moment of vulnerability, but yeah, like it's that real. If I can bring it to your door right now, the narratives that you want to see change in your life, right? And of course, that desires that, sir, ma'am, sort this out now. Where it's like, no, you may need to understand that this guy's been literally perpetuating habits for decades.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
very
so
true.
I'm just closing remarks on that light as well.
Just closing off. Yeah, look, it's very important that we all go through challenges, and it's important to understand which ones need to be dealt with now, which ones mustn't even have 5 minutes in your life, and which ones will take time. And you're very right about even like the generational ones, because guys, how do I put it? Just 5 minutes of you listening to your favorite song, and then another 5 minutes the next day. Okay, like a lot of famous songs trend for like 2 weeks after that they're done. But you know the lyrics off by heart. You don't need that song anymore. Now, if 2 weeks could do that, imagine years and years of the same thing. You practicing something religiously. How long is that gonna take?
This is what we do as a family.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying? How long is that gonna take? Because now it's not that, it's no more that thing of this is just something we do. This is me now. I've become that thing. So you're not just changing an activity, and you're not changing an activity, you're changing someone. And changing someone is way harder than just changing a practice.
Guys, we need 14 days now. It's gone from 3 days. We need 14 days of conversation as we get into it. Because when a person identifies,
see, when it's someone's identity, now you're stepping on his toes, and that needs to be dealt with love and patience, like you said. You can't just,
and the Holy Ghost,
and prayer and everything, guys, all of you. And it needs a lot of wisdom, like you said, because sometimes you may be getting to the point where you're about to turn this person off, and off probably for good sometimes, that they tell you we're going to speak about this ever again. And that's where you as a person can't tell when someone is getting there, but the Holy Spirit can, and you need that wisdom. But anyway, we'll talk forever.
We really will, guys. We really will, guys. Thank you so much
guys. Yeah.
for tuning in. Lox, thank you for coming. Bro.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
I'm excited about tomorrow.
Okay.
When I say tomorrow, of course, I'm talking about the future. But,
yes. Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
There's so much goodness that can come from this. And I hope that you are being blessed by this, for me, one of my biggest prayers, guys, is that whenever I say something, whenever we talk about something, it will get you thinking, it will inspire you, and it will encourage you to do better and be better in one way or another. That I'll say with my chest. Bro, where can we catch you? Plug yourself.
Let me plug myself.
Yeah, the hashtags, the @, the handles.
Everything. So I'm on Facebook. I don't use that much. So if you try to catch my activities on Facebook, you're gonna see nothing. But I'm on Instagram at Lox Camorello. Lox Camorello, LOX Camorello with the G. Man, you're gonna probably type it on the screen. It's fine. I also have another Instagram handle, everlasting.love.za on Instagram. All right, and then I have a YouTube channel called Ministry of the Body. and dirty dishes. And there's a lot of things that
You like things.
I like things.
We
Me and
turn
the
this
same.
into-
You and I are the same. We like things.
Just to qualify it, man. I like things. This man likes things, but we like godly things.
Yes, you see.
Just to qualify.
The right things. so just those 4 places: 2 YouTube channels, 2 Instagram channels. That's
Now,
it.
guys, you heard it first. You heard it right here. Love on the podcast. Thank you so much for coming through. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, look out for the next episode. We drop an episode every single Monday, and we're going until September, guys. That's a lot. Anyway, there are other episodes every other Friday.
Okay. That's
Right?
dope.
So, but Monday, standard procedure, 6 a.m.
Alright, do the things, guys. Subscribe, do all the right things, comment your thoughts as well. Okay?
Yeah.
This is just the YouTuber in me coming out. I know this is not my channel, but you see all of a sudden
I'm here for it.
YouTuber in me is just like,
You're
guys,
doing the work of the Lord.
also comment there, share your thoughts, guys. I know there's burning issues that you want to talk about. Comment, because maybe if we come back again, we can talk about those things.
Boy.
Those things.
Guys, love on the podcast. Stay winning, be blessed, and love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Important.
Away.